Man, Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks are scorching hot. It's crazy to see them be so far ahead of schedule, but I love it. The Chicago Bulls are looking to end their road trip on a high note versus Portland tonight, plus trade rumors. And Jaylon Johnson could be back as early as this week. Plus, we'll talk about the Cubs, White Sox, and Chicago Sky right after the intro. Good morning, Chicago sports fans. Welcome to another episode of Chi-Town Sports Central. It's your boy, Big Kev, holding it down for Chi-Town. Y'all already know, hit me up at Big Kev from the Chi, Big Kev from DACHI on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of that. And you can follow me at Big Chicago White Sox Central, because that's what I host mostly. And don't forget to follow the rest of the Chi-Town Sports family by typing in your favorite Chicago sports team, putting the word Central behind it. You'll find one of us, as well as NBA Central, NFL Central, and the Shy Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys, as well as the Locked On Bulls podcast with Hayes and Pat, the designer. We'll get right into it. The Chicago Blackhawks last night take care of business versus the Calgary Flame. The game ended in 5-2. It was a fun game to watch, but it was a little murky to start. It wasn't 5-2, obviously, the entire game, but Chicago Blackhawks moved to 10-5-4 through 19 games of the season. Nobody could have predicted that the way they've been playing the last couple of years, but they're led by their 20-year-old superstar. And that's right, I said superstar, in Connor Bedard, who netted his second hat trick of the season, which equals his second hat trick of his career. And when I tell you the way that he scores goals is just insane. Insane. The first one that he scored, this man used speed, skill, and technique to just poke a ball. I can't even describe it. You got to watch the highlights, because he streaked down, got past all the Flame players, and reached his stick out and just snuck the puck in behind the goaltender Dustin Wolf. And then his second goal came off a nice pass from his teammate after they gave up a 2-0 lead. Connor Bedard got a pass from Ryan Green where crazy, another crazy shot. Like, he shot the puck from underneath the stick of the defender and got it scorching hot past to the upper left part of the net. Like, this dude is just crazy. And then the Blackhawks scored another goal to give themselves a bigger lead, and then an empty net. Connor Bedard again, like, he just basically spun in his own zone and lifted the puck over everybody from the other side of the doggone hockey rink and scored an empty netter to get his hat trick to put the Blackhawks at 2 and get the win. So honest Bedard is in a tie for second in all NHL with third to the season, and he's in fourth place for points overall. That's 29. And over the 11 games, he scored 11 goals and got 11 assists. For super, those are his MVP numbers. Now, how things went with Caleb, Taylor, what's his name? In Fubs. I don't know if his name is but PC had a strong start to the season last year because they were running rush shot over. And P. Crow Armstrong, there you go. We don't want to have to get too ahead of ourselves, but right now, at least right now, he's playing like a superstar. And he'll probably end up making the Canada team if he keeps playing like this. As well as a bunch of different things for the Blackhawks. They just playing really, 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 really good hockey to start off the year. And I know a lot of us don't watch hockey. I catch as much as I can because it's too much to watch doing this channel with the Bears, the Bulls. But hey, listen, if you're not paying attention to the Blackhawks, don't wait till it's too late. My wife and I are planning on going to a game this season. It'll be the first time I've ever gone to a hockey game, but I'm definitely looking forward to that. Perhaps next Sunday when the Bears are off. I think they play the Ducks on next Sunday, the 30th after Thanksgiving. So I'm looking forward to that. But if you're not paying attention to the Blackhawks, do so, man. And if you are interested in covering this team, because I can only do cursory coverage on the Blackhawks. Now, I do know this: they are leading the league in points scored in the third period, which is insane for a young team. They're definitely not shaking, and I do know that they're on a 6-game point streak, which means they haven't lost a game outright. They've either won the game or lost in overtime or won in overtime. But listen, if I'm paying attention, I know you can. If you're interested in hosting the Chicago Blackhawks Central Channel, hit us up, man. Let us know in the comments down below what you think about the Blackhawks start to the season so far, and if you're interested in hosting the show a few episodes a week over here with the Chi-Town Sports Network. Now, the Chicago Bulls pick up a big win versus the Denver Nuggets after starting 6-1. The Bulls lost 5 in a row, and looked like out of those 5 games that they lost, only 2 of them were like bad losses, right? The Milwaukee Bucks game, they didn't have a chance in that one, really. They started off all right. They fought as much as they could, but they lost that one in the fourth quarter. The Detroit Pistons game, where Detroit put their G League team out there, they basically just beat up on the Bulls. Now, Billy Donovan made a few mistakes toward down the end as the Bulls fought their way back into the game to get within 1 midway through the fourth quarter. Uh, Detroit was able to run away with it at the end as he went back to his regular rotation, as opposed to sticking with the players that got him there, like Trey Jones and Jalen Smith and so on and so forth. But they were able to get back. Now, all the other games, though, besides those 2, the Chicago Bulls were winning those games. The Cleveland Cavaliers game, the Utah Jazz game, they lost in double overtime, which was crazy. Lauri Markkanen came back to bite them. And pretty much all of the games they lost, 3 of those games in that 5-game losing streak were very winnable games. They shouldn't have lost. The San Antonio Spurs game is the other one. But hey, that's basketball for you. There are games you're going to win that you should lose, games that you're going to lose that you should win. That's neither here nor there. Tonight they take on the Portland Trailblazers squad that's playing really, really well, even without head coach Chauncey Billups. You might as well call him former head coach Chauncey Billups, because the NBA investigation, regardless of what happens, he's most likely going to be fired. But that's neither here nor there, because now as we get closer to December 15th, when teams can players that they sign to new contracts, we're going to hear about trade rumors. And right now, the NBA is above who's going to trade for Anthony Davis, and a lot of people are saying the Bulls should trade from since. And just a little perspective before I tell you guys what I think the Bulls should Bleacher put together in the trade. Trey Jones, Zach Collins, Kevin Herter, a 22 first round pick from the Bulls, 26 round pick from the Portland Trailblazers from the Bulls, $18.1 million trade, $9.6 million trade to Caleb Martin, a $2.3 million trade exception for Dante Exum, where the Bulls get Anthony Davis, Caleb Martin, Dante Exum, Jalen Wilson from the Brooklyn Nets, and the $8 million trade exception for Trey Jones. And then Dalen Terry would go to the Nets. Javon Carter would go to the Nets. Melvin Ajinka, who the Mavericks have from their last second round pick, the rights to him, a 2029 second rounder from the Bulls and a 2030 second rounder from the Bulls. Now, all of that to say this: hell no. Why would anybody in their right mind, and somebody's going to do it, but hopefully the Chicago Bulls, a.k.a. Eversley and the Chicago Bulls, stay as far away from Anthony Davis as they possibly can. Now, would a trade for this man be exciting? Yeah, for the 15 games that he's going to play. Like, why on earth would you give up draft capital for a guy who is constantly injured? Hell, when he got traded to the Mavericks, he was already injured when he got traded to them, and then he played 1 game and got injured. Then he came back and played, to try to get them into the playoffs. Didn't work out. Then he played a couple of games for this starting season and got injured. I think he's injured right now. Why on earth would you look at players like him, players like Kawhi Leonard, there are a bunch of players in this league who are injury prone now that you should stay away from. Joel Embiid, uh, Paul George. These guys should never be in consideration unless they're doing straight up trades where they're trying to just get them off their roster. Hell, at this point in Anthony Davis's career, eventually he's going to be getting released from teams. There's no reason for the Chicago Bulls to give up a 2026 first round pick, two 2021 first round picks, a 29 second round pick, and a 30-second round pick for Anthony Davis. No way. Trey Jones is too valuable to this team, first of all. We've already had injuries to Josh Giddey, to Kobe White, and to Ayo Dosunmu. All those guys bring the ball up the court. Why would you give up one of the better point guards in this league? Trey Jones, for the first part of the season so far, has been a top 10 point guard. Kevin Huerter has been a godsend, a do-it-all type player off the bench and give you spot starter minutes. The way the Chicago Bulls started this season at 6-1, as long as Josh Giddey is out there running the show, they're going to win some games. They play with a much faster pace than they've ever really played at in all my years of watching the Chicago Bulls. If I'm the Chicago Bulls, I figure out how to keep the players that I have on my roster healthy and continue to build from within. You don't draft a player like Noah Essengay and then decide to keep him at the end of the bench to bring in an Anthony Davis who you know is going to get injured. It's not even hating on this guy. It's just a fact at this point. He's going to get injured. So if I'm the Chicago Bulls, I stay far away from Anthony Davis. If you guys want to hear anything else about Anthony Davis, the Chicago Bulls, and what they should do with trades and the end of this road trip tonight versus Portland, head on over to Chicago Bulls Central, the Shy Bulls podcast, and Locked On Bulls. Listen, we will be live tonight. It's a late game. It's 9 p.m. Central, so 10 Eastern. But it's going to be fun. Hop on playback, CC Dub, Bobby, Steve-O, Hayes, myself will all be popping in and out of that one. So Chicago Bulls Central and the Shy Bulls podcast will be live calling the game tonight. Let us know what you think in the comments about possibly trading for Anthony Davis. But I say, hell no. Chicago Bears have won 7 of their last 8 games. They are on fire, and they are taking on stinking ass Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, keep it 100. Aaron Rodgers could play, he might not play, but I doubt he'll miss playing against the team that he loves to beat in the Chicago Bears. And a little history here: the Chicago Bears have beaten, at home at least, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think 12 out of 13 times, 11 out of 12 times, one of those two in their history. But Aaron Rodgers would love nothing more to come to Chicago and beat the Bears and knock a little wind out of ourselves. Now, I'll say this. We ain't scared of Aaron Rodgers, injured or not injured. But if Joe Flacco has anything to say about it, 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks aren't scared of the Bears either. And if the Bears are going to win this game versus the Pittsburgh Steelers on the lakefront Sunday afternoon, they're going to have to clean up the mistakes. That's one, the penalties. Two, they're going to have to establish an offensive identity early because we don't know what Ben Johnson be thinking sometimes. And as much as we love him as a coach here and the winning cures all ills, some of his play calling is questionable. Sometimes he gets a little too mad scientist with his approach, to say the least. But there's nothing wrong with playing to your strengths. Right now, the Chicago Bears are one of the best rushing teams in the league. Let run the ball. And two, listen, guys, if we're going to pass the ball, you got to catch the damn ball. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, even you, Luther Burden, who had a big up last week. Please figure out how to incorporate the tight ends into this offense to the point where opposing defenses don't know what's going to happen. We're tired of going into the fourth quarter of every game, even if we have a big lead, knowing that we're going to have to watch till the last second. But hey, we've been winning these games, and it is what it is. If this game is close, we can know that the Chicago Bears, at the very least, have an opportunity to win. But Jaylon Johnson could be back as early as this week. His 21-day window opened last week, and according to Montel Fleming, CEO of FDA Midwest region, he's an NFL rehab, and he's been the one responsible for helping Jaylon Johnson try to get back on the field. He posted an update on Instagram earlier today, It shows Jaylon Johnson going through drills with a single quote listed near the bottom, and that quote was, "He's ready." So that's indicating that Johnson himself may have even said it, and I think he's starting to probably think he feels good enough to play this Sunday. Now, obviously, he doesn't get the last word, Jaylon Johnson, that is, on if not he can play. But if he's back on Sunday, that'll go a long way toward the Chicago Bears possibly defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Mason Rudolph back there. And then you also have Jalen Warren, who could be injured as well. So maybe the Bears will be facing a deeply injured Steelers. But again, that doesn't matter. The Bears figure out a way to make every game interesting. So tomorrow we'll talk more about the Bears, but let us know how y'all feel about this upcoming game in the comments below. Follow Chicago Bears Central for any more Bears updates. Chicago Cubs, they introduced a qualifying offer to Shota Imanaga, and he accepted that qualifying offer. So it looked like Shota Imanaga was going to leave the Chicago Cubs, test himself in free agency, or maybe go back over to Japan. But looks like his agent probably let him know that there weren't many teams interested in his services and that he wasn't going to make much money out there as a free agent. So he'll be back with the Chicago Cubs. Now, me personally, I don't think they should have offered him a qualifying offer, but they did, and it is what it is. But if you want to hear about what this means for the Chicago Cubs going forward in free agency, Kyle Tucker, what else they're going to do to improve their roster, head on over to Chicago Cubs Central, where Big Mike is holding it down. And finally, for the Chicago Sky, no basketball news, but it has been confirmed that Angel Reese is in a relationship with former Chicago Bulls center Wendell Carter Jr. Best of luck to them in their romantic endeavors. If you want to hear anything about the Chicago Sky, head on over to Chicago Sky Central, where Hayes, Steve-O, and C-Dub hold it down over there. I definitely pop in and out throughout the season whenever I can for live calls. And we're going to talk about the Chicago White Sox over on Chicago White Sox Central. They did make a few moves, so head on over to Chicago White Sox Central in the next hour or so to catch the latest episode. And there you have it, guys. Appreciate you guys being patient with me this week. Was a little under the weather, but we back at it. And go ahead, like, comment, and share. Follow me at Big Kev from the Shy, Big Kev from DACHI, or at Chicago White Sox Central over here. That's where I hold it down for the Chicago White Sox. And then don't forget to type in your favorite Chicago sports team, put the word Central behind it. You will find one of us talking about all your teams. Let us know what you think about the Chicago Blackhawks, Chicago Bulls, Chicago Bears, and the Cubs and Sky News. And again, follow Chicago White Sox Central for updates over there. NFL Central, NBA Central, where me and C-Dub have the Old Heads episodes once a week. And then, of course, the Shy Bulls podcast and Locked On Bulls. So don't forget, man, like, comment, and share. Appreciate the love and support you guys give us. We're going to holler at you next time. Peace.
This has